Okay, I'm Steve Frantz. I'm the Vice President of Safety for Herman Trucking. We are located at a corporate office in Mountain City, Tennessee. We have 6 terminals. We have the corporate office. We've got 2 in Texas, 1 in Arizona, 1 in Missouri, and actually we just purchased 1 in Tennessee, so we have a total of 6. Right now we're running right at about 390 tractors and about 530 drivers.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me a little bit about, you've been using the system for about 3 years now?
We are in our 3rd year.
Okay, and tell me about your first year. What was the implementation like? What was your first experience with Infinit-I?
Actually, it was a little bit difficult to start out, just getting the word out because we've never had anything like this before. So it was word of mouth. It was a few safety meetings. It was putting out on fleet messages with Qualcomm. We put it in the newsletter. We put handouts at all the terminals, which included all the sign-in instructions. So it finally got out here. It took a little bit, but probably within 6 months, we started seeing the participation grow.
Excellent, excellent. And what about before Infinit-I? What was your training program like? What did you do?
It was a nightmare. You know, when you've got 300 or 500 and some drivers, and we run, all across the USA, you can't train anybody when your entire workforce is on the move. So about the only thing we could do is we had a big annual safety meeting in El Paso the first week of January every year, and the best we could do was about a third of the drivers. And that's not sufficient, especially when it comes to lawsuits and things of that nature. So it was best, and that's been a problem for this industry all along, is training drivers. And it's not until we had the technology, such as this, to have the platform to do that with.
So in terms of your orientation, have you been able to decrease the number of days or make things more automated, or what was that like?
We've cut out a few hours of orientation. We don't do it pre-orientation, but we do take some of the orientation material and put it on there, and they will watch it as soon as they get out of orientation. And the reason for that is the way that we're set up. We can't issue them a login until we actually have them in and get them in our system. And if we give them one that's made up, then we can't. It'd be hard to link those two up once we did that. But we do put some stuff on there that they watch the day after orientation.
Okay. From our audience, anyone have a specific question before I throw it on? Larry?
I have one, Steve. Are there any things that you can share with all of us that we should not do? That maybe was a...
Yes. Been down that road.
Well, save us making the same mistake.
I got pretty excited. So once we got all the drivers put in, and I started assigning videos, probably went a little overboard. I started out and I'd sign maybe 3 of them this month, and then next month I'd assign them 5 videos. And what I tried to do, no matter what the number of videos, I tried to keep it at a certain length of time, which was 30 to 45 minutes. Well, that was kind of a mistake because it took a while to build up that participation. So what I ended up with was a whole bunch of drivers with overdue videos. So it's going to take a little while. We've backed that down now, and right now, we just started this January 1, we're only giving them 1 a month, but it is mandatory now instead of optional. And then once we get them used to it, and we've got our participation now, since we did that, up to about 93%, where before the best we could do was 60. So we're working on that, and then once we get them used to getting in there and doing these videos, then we'll start increasing it slowly. I'll tell you right now, most of them like it, but you're going to have that handful that's going to fight you all the way.
Tell these guys what you did as far as implementing this to be mandatory in reference to any safety bonus.
Yep. What we did, since we don't pay them to do the videos, and I don't really care when they do them, we don't dictate that to them. They can do it when they're off duty. They can do it at home. They can do it, when they're sitting at a shipper or receiver, whenever. we had it tied into their safety bonus. Well, the safety bonus isn't a tremendous amount of money. We did the safety bonus quarterly. If they have no accidents, they watch your videos, no tickets, no service failures from dispatch, all those kind of things, they get a half a cent per mile for all miles that quarter. If they don't watch their videos, they don't get anything. At the end of the year, if they've done all that and they've gotten all 4 quarters, then we give them an additional half a cent for all miles that year. So technically, you're talking $1,000, $2,000 at the end of the year. Well, that obviously wasn't enough incentive. Well, they also get a mileage bonus monthly, which is pretty nice. They can get up to extra 6 cents a mile. They also get a fuel bonus monthly. So we said, okay, let's turn on the pain. Now, if they don't watch that one video, they get no bonus whatsoever. I had a team in January, 2 guys, lost $1,150 each because they didn't watch a 6-minute video. Guess what they did in February? If they don't watch the videos, we realize that not all drivers get bonuses. Not all of them are out there running hard enough to get mileage bonus and fuel bonus. And let's face it, everybody has their handful that really just don't care. So we've also added a disciplinary step in there too as well. So the first month they don't watch it, they're going to get a written warning. Second month, a final warning. Third month, we don't need you. If you can't watch a 6, 7, 8-minute video, we don't need you.
Yes. 2 questions. First, you mentioned in the intro about reduction in CSA scores. I was curious to know if that also, if you also saw an improvement in your loss runs and how that has affected your ability to reduce insurance premiums and/or SIR at an affordable price.
We have seen a reduction in the accident costs. Can I tell you right now that it's substantial? No, I can't. But we're seeing that continually improve. And it's basically just awareness. You know, we're no different than anybody else. Probably 90% of our accidents are the little fender benders in the truck stop. And those are the ones that we're trying to get down. Have we seen some improvement? Yes, we have. Can I sit here and say that this is just the answer to everything? No. But it's definitely going to help. And it's just to keep going, to keep reinforcing that. And I think we'll see some big changes going forward, especially now that it's mandatory to watch them.
And my other question would be, with your operational management, not knowing your structure or your culture as it was pre-VA, but since you moved this direction, have you seen where your operational management is like delegating safety and the safety culture to the vertical alliance program, and they're no longer engaged with that culture?
Yes, they are. Everybody has, we're involved in this. I guess let me set the stage. We're a fairly large company. And like I said, we've got, over 500 drivers. We've got probably 150 non-driving personnel. Every person in our company is assigned videos, and that includes the president, Joe Herman. And everybody has to watch those videos. We've got them, like they said earlier in the meeting, we've got them set up into groups. We've got safety, we've got operations, we've got administrative, we've got the shop, we got mechanics, we got supervisors. And every month, every group is assigned videos. So we've done this to everybody. We've seen a big difference, and I'll tell you where I've seen a big difference is number one, we run legal. We always have, always will. We've never promoted running illegal. And it was hard and a challenge for us to train our nighttime dispatchers because we're central dispatch, it's in Mountain City, Tennessee. That's where we bring the new guys in and train them to become fleet managers when we need them during the day. So I could go in and train them on hours of service, but did it really stick? I could have him sign that sheet of paper, but that doesn't mean he understood anything. So every one of those people has gone through hours of service on the video. We've got the test, 100%. It's documented. We know they understood it. And then we're going to do that annually just to reinforce it. And they live by that. So that's been good.
And Steve, we talked about custom content earlier in the class today. Have you incorporated any of that to make the training more impactful?
You know, we've done just a few things. We haven't gotten too much into the custom at this point. That's something that we're kicking around looking at. I've got some ideas. But we do use it for a few things. One thing that was mentioned today we do is any new policies or policy changes. I mean, let's face it, it's hard to get 500 guys together to sign something. So if we put it on there and they click, yeah, they read it and understood it. I am going to change, though, and that was a good idea. I never thought about it. It's putting questions to that. So that will be done when we get back. But, yeah, we put policies on there that we need to get out. Insurance forms, when it's time to do the insurance every year. We put those on there so that when the driver goes home, instead of trying to find his packet or total over at his truck, you know, truck drivers, you know, he gets home from that trip and he's got his insurance paper and, you know, tobacco juice on him and, you know, some Wendy's and coffee stains. And so he can sign on to his Infinit-I and print them all off for his wife to help him fill them out right there. So we do use it for that.
So, excellent. Yeah, good question about?
Yeah, that's curious, doing some repetitive annual training, I think that's a really good thing. I think with the hours of service, is there some other things that you do annually, year in, year out, that you think are key for your safety program?
Yes, we do. Not necessarily for the drivers because they're just continuous.
Right.
But for the in-house, we do all the supervisors' annual drug and alcohol training. We do that. We do a lot of repetitive OSHA training, especially for office and shop. So those things that we're required to do annually, that makes it much easier because they can do that at their leisure whenever they want. They're more relaxed. They're more apt to learn something. You're not tying them down to a chair in a classroom. It's working out well.
Is your, are you guys self-insured or you're no, not self-insured?
No.
What does your insurance company think of your program?
They like it. We did get some reductions. I mean, that's a plus all around. You know that, and I want to bring this up. That kind of leads into it. You know, this is our third year going into this. So, as you folks know, when a driver has an accident, if there's going to be any pending litigation, it usually takes a little while for that process to go. Well, now that we're into our third year, I've gotten 2 of those. And I'll tell you what, it made me feel good to sit there at my desk and pull both of them up. And every one of them, both of those guys had watched every video we gave them with 100%. I printed off the spreadsheets, and I went and printed off each individual certificate. I got a stack of certificates that tall for both of them. And you know what? When the plaintiff's attorney sees that, because that's the biggest fight. That's the first question they ask me in just about every deposition I've ever been in. Tell me about your training program. Well, Mr. Attorney, it's hard to train a moving fleet. Well, that's not a good answer. So this, I think, is going to be worth its weight in gold when you talk about litigation, because it takes that training and that punitive damage out of the equation.
Excellent. Larry, you had a question?
Did you have to go back and sell this to your senior leadership, or did they attend? How easy was it to convince senior management?
The owner of my company, Joe Herman, came down to my desk and said, "Hey, I want you to call this guy. His name's Greg Shipman." Greg Shipman is our representative. He's tied in pretty close knit with the Tennessee Trucking Association. Joe Herman has been on the board of the association for years. I've been involved with both the local chapter and the state chapter. We've got other people in our company that are involved. So it wasn't very difficult when Greg kind of give his idea to Joe. And Joe said, take a look at this and tell me what you think. Is this something you think would work for us? And actually, he did the same thing with Melanie, who then was our director of HR. Mike has since taken her position. And she gave her input. And we just saw a huge benefit all the way around. So once we kind of sat and talked about how we were going to use it, what we thought it would do for us, it wasn't a question. It was, when can we get started and what do we have to do?
Yes.
Maybe more for you guys. Talked about printing off forms and having them sign it. Are you guys looking at electronic signatures? A lot of big institutions go to that now.
Yes, we're looking at it. Tomorrow, I'll show you the first stage.
We're not there yet.
Sell the product, we're there, and we'll get into that tomorrow.
That's a question over there.
Yeah. Does the program pay for itself?
Yes.
Tell me about client service. I know you've been on board for 3 years. Tell me what your experience with them.
Oh, it's been great. We're to the point now where we've kind of muddled through it and are able to sign videos. But any question or problem that we've had, we call Jeannie Bias, who's our rep, and she's just right on it. What she's been really helpful with, excuse me, is you guys have got the tech support number. So when we have a driver call us and say, hey, I watched the video, but it's not giving me the questions, or it won't let me in. Well, you know what? I'm no computer genius. So I refer them and transfer that call to their tech support, and they walk our driver right through it, and boom. Mostly it's just a setting they got to change, and they've been very helpful.
Good. Good to hear. More questions? Yes.
How much time do you spend signing people up for these courses? And of course, with our industry, all the turnover, do you see that you have to go in and change a lot?
And that's a good question. Dawn, who works for me, I just had her do the entire company. It took me all of 30 minutes to pick out which videos I want to watch. It probably took her all of 15 minutes to assign them. And then she runs a report for me every Monday, an incomplete list. There's also a button in there you can click when a driver leaves. You can make him inactive. That doesn't mean that information disappears, but when you run your reports, you don't want all those inactive drivers in there. So he'll be in there, or she. If they're inactive, they'll still be in there if that's something you need to go back and get later on. So that's an easy way to do that.
And Steve, you talked about the catalog being fairly extensive. Is there any particular sections or pieces that you would recommend, or things that you like, or things that you might want to see in there?
There is something I would like to see in there, and might not pertain to everybody. But since we are a carrier that our trailers go across the border into Mexico, we are CTPAT certified, and I would like to see some more stuff in there along the security lines for CTPAT.
Okay.
If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's Customs Trade Partners Against Terrorism. It's extensive. It's run by the Customs, and we are certified, and that would help a long way with us getting those drivers trained for the security part of that as well, which has to be done annually.
Great. More questions? Yes. Right.
As a company, if you have a bad reputation in the industry, you tend to get pulled over more often, more places, your inspections are a little more intense. Since this implementation, have your inspections been impacted? Has the number gone down?
You know what? I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to blow any smoke. We've got a good reputation. We run the same lanes every day. DOT knows us. We got newer equipment. We keep it clean. We've got a good maintenance program. Our inspection score is 24. We don't have a problem. But what I think it does do, and it may help when they do get stopped, is your driver's more professional. Because they know a little more about what they're talking about. You know, I don't care if you got a driver that's been driving for 2 weeks or 20 years. Which one's your worst one? The driver for 20 years. Because he's forgotten a lot of stuff and he's picked up a lot of bad habits. And all these videos just reinforce the stuff that he's kind of put away on the back shelf years ago and starts bringing that forward. And that makes them a better driver. And when they're a better driver and they have more knowledge, they're more confident and it shows.
Any more final questions, Christine? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.